The Ruger SFAR comes with a muzzle device called a boomer brake. Is that a generational or sound reference? Probably a little bit of both. Stick around, we're gonna give this thing a thorough rundown. You'll wanna see the results. Hey, let's get into the overview of the Ruger SFAR. Now, this is a pretty cool rifle, I've got to admit. What they essentially did is took an AR-15 and figured out a way to shoehorn the .308 caliber in there. How they did that was a number of things. First off, you can see they pushed the trigger group back because the mag well is so much bigger up front. So that ends up pushing back this area where the castle nut is kind of extended, this portion underneath here, where the grip mates up. And they also used a shorter bolt carrier group in order to accomplish that. They'd used a number of techniques to lighten this thing, and it keeps it about 7 pounds, or right around that 7 pound mark. So really did a good job of getting that bigger caliber into a gun that still feels very much like an AR-15 until you pull the trigger. Now that that's out of the way, let's shoot it. Okay, so besides that first ring you saw, this is our first mag through, and we're gonna get our first impressions on the Ruger SFAR here. Wow, damn. The brake does a pretty good job of containing some of that recoil. It still jumps around a little bit, so I'm gonna have to try to buckle that down, but Johnny, what are your first impressions?
Brake sucks a little bit for me, I'm not gonna lie.
It's pretty brutal. We may switch out to a suppressor and move on from there. All right, so the boomer brake is not cutting it for everybody involved. Wasn't a whole lot of fun, so we're gonna do something about that. Nothing up my sleeve. Aha! The AR-10, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so we've just installed the AR-10. The boomer brake was a little bit much. We're gonna see if this maybe gives us a little more peace and quiet. Okay, so far we have an issue. But the nice thing about it is the SFAR comes with a 4-position adjustable gas block. So we're gonna adjust that now and see if we can get this cycling again. The fun thing about it is Ruger inserted the tool you need for the gas block in the grip, the Magpul grip here. All right, so using the tool, we're gonna insert it into the gas block, and I'm looking at a series of numbers here. 0, 3, 2, and now I'm at 1. So 4 settings, but at 1, we'll test it again and see using the same ammo if we're able to get it to cycle. So now that we've adjusted the gas, let's see what kind of performance we get as far as cycling. Okay, that's right at 3 o'clock, maybe a little bit short of that, but it's cycling fine. So with this ammo, we're in good shape. And the sound is a whole lot better.
I appreciate the can. That's a sign right there.
Are you ready? The vertically unhampered can shoot over the top of barricades. Oh, almost. Drop 1. Whoa, what happened here? This is different ammo. Yeah, let's go mortar it. Important point, boys and girls. Make sure you collapse your stock all the way before you start mortaring. There we go. That's not too bad. This is Hornady Black, which we haven't been running with the suppressor. I don't know if the gas setting is what caused that. Let's fire a few more and see. I think we're okay. I don't know what that was. That was kind of an errant round. So that was all Hornady Black. We had 1 failure to eject, and I don't know why. Don't think it was the gas setting because it seems to be running fine now. What do you guys think it was? Let us know in the comments below. There we go. Man, that's going to complete our initial impressions. And I want to say right out of the gate, this thing is very light. It's right at 7 pounds. And the way it feels is just like an AR-15. The controls, everything about it. When you shoulder it and press the trigger, that's when you realize it is absolutely not an AR-15. The recoil is very strong compared to a 5.56, obviously, but it's been very accurate and very reliable so far. Now that we got a good feel for this gun, let's talk about ergonomics. First, we're going to start at the tip. Now, this is the boomer brake, and it does a really good job of sending those gases out in either direction to your left and right. It's not so friendly to the people who are shooting next to you or who might be running the camera, but it does a pretty good job of taming that recoil. There's still quite a bit of buck because 308 is a pretty powerful round. But the handguard, moving back, it does a decent job. It's skeletonized in a way that makes it very lightweight. But when you're running a suppressor, it gets really hot. So that was something that happened pretty quickly when we switched over to the suppressor. The adjustable gas block has a couple of bevels on either side of the rail that allow you to get that wrench in, but we found that it was kind of difficult to actually turn that wrench without using a pair of pliers. The rail does include M-LOK 3, 6, and 9, and then you've got QD on either side up front, and then of course pick rail on either end. So you can see where, particularly on the lower, that it's made in such a way that it's going to really lighten everything up for you. And on the other side, we've got standard controls. You've got a mag release, a forward assist, as well as a brass deflector. And in my estimation, the charging handle is effective, but it's a little anemic. I feel like that would be one of the things that I would want to replace. And then the mag well too. As you can see, it's pretty flared and got some nice bevels in there. And each time we've loaded or unloaded, mags have dropped clear, done a really good job. Also, of course, on the other side, we've got the bolt release, standard configuration, no big surprises here. And even though moving back to the grip, you can see that it sticks out a little bit in this place where it's got it made up with the castle nut above. It's a Mo grip from Magpul. Finally, at the back, we've got the Mo SL from Magpul, and this has been a great stock. Not a lot of padding, but you know, you don't need it. This is a ride, and you paid for that ticket, so ride it. Now over to accuracy. For accuracy and reliability, we're feeding the Ruger SFAR a variety of different ammunitions. Today we've got PMC Bronze. This is 308 and it's 147 grain. Federal Premium Gold Medal Sierra Match King, 175 grain. Hornady Black is 168 grain. And finally, Federal American Eagle, 150 grain, which is kind of the midline of all the different weights that we're using. Let's get down and see what this thing will shoot. All right, so interesting results from the Ruger SFAR. We started off with the American Eagle 150 grain, which we zeroed with, and my first 3 shots were within an inch of each other, maybe even sub MOA when we started, but this obviously spread out. I can only blame myself for that. Moving over to the PMC Bronze 147 grain, first shot was here, second was here, finally settled down and put 3 touching right here just over the diamond, the center of the diamond. So again, I think I'm just getting used to it, but there is a little bit of variability, it feels like, with the smaller or with the lower weights. Moving up to the Federal Premium 175 grain, the SFAR really seems to like that. That's just over an inch. I'm not measuring it with calipers, but I would say that's just over an inch. And then finally the Hornady Black, 2 here and 2 here, 168 grain, and then the final one up there, that's right around an inch also. Finally, we found some Hornady Whitetail 150 grain that were in my ammo can and put 5 of those together right on 2 inches, maybe just a little bit over. So pretty decent accuracy, but I tend to see a little bit of preference for the heavier grains on that 16-inch barrel out of the Ruger SFAR, getting a little bit of accuracy. So Ruger included a 2-stage trigger on the SFAR. Pull back to the wall right there, very defined wall, very solid, crisp break. I really like this trigger. And then reset, very audible and tactile, and all the way back to the top of the throw. So now we'll try the Lyman digital gauge and see what kind of pull poundage we get. 2 pounds, 8.9 ounces. I really like this trigger. When you're shooting distance in particular, you're able to get in, zero down on your target, take a deep breath, pull it back, relax, and then break the shot when you're ready. All right, final thoughts on the Ruger SFAR. Man, this is a cool rifle. I came into this pretty open-minded. I didn't know what to expect. Taking the challenge of including a very large caliber into an AR-15 sized rifle is something that Ruger did very well. I want to say that first and foremost. Accuracy was very good. I feel like just over 1 MOA in some of the heavier grain bullets. And reliability was also very good. We had a couple of malfunctions that we introduced when we put a suppressor on and eventually dialed the gas into where it was supposed to be. But other than that, the reliability was really good. We're over 250 rounds and didn't have any issues. Great trigger, two-stage. I don't know why you'd want to change it. I think it's absolutely effective in what it does. The charging handle, again, like I said, is a little anemic, but it does actually work. And the furniture otherwise is really good. On the negative side, it gets a little hot, especially on the rail whenever you're running a suppressor. And the boomer brake, man, it's real. It is so loud, but it does a pretty good job of taming the recoil. On the downside too, you've got to remember that 308 round in there, man, it jumps around quite a bit. So you've got to work harder to bolt it down and make sure that you're getting accurate hits. And that became evident when I started shooting for speed, trying to get controlled pairs. I would find that muzzle rise was still pretty challenging to deal with. But all in, I think it's a great gun and it's a pretty good value. If you want to talk about the actual value, I'm seeing them online anywhere from mid-900s to the 1200 mark, depending on where you're shopping. Now, there are a few versions of this. There's a 20-inch, and they come in a couple of different calibers too. This one is a 16-inch, but all in, I feel like Ruger did a really good job on the SFAR. Again, it's taking a 308 into an AR-15 size rifle that's light, manageable, reliable, and accurate. That's a good job. If you're interested in more rifles like this, we have a video of the PSA Saber 10 that you can check out. Click on the link in the description below. Thanks for watching.